Hey folks, I'm Nick Janes, Communications Director for Overland Expo. We're here at the first ever Overland Expo, Mountain West in Loveland, Colorado. Behind me is our 2020 4Runner. It's our ultimate build. We've done a lot of stuff to this, and we've built it up to be a vehicle that you can get out to remote places and set up camp and live for a while. There's a lot of components that get to that end, so we'll go through them now, but we'll start with the front end. All right, up front you'll see this is probably the most dynamic change of the whole thing. We have an ARB bull bar backed by a Superwinch, and on either side there are some KC Adventure lights. Well, actually those are all over the front and under the top, but we'll get those in a second. We have the bull bar up here to not only add front end protection, but also as a way to mount that winch, and that's an ultimate recovery winch right there. You're gonna use that to get out of the hairiest places. Hopefully you won't ever get there, but if you do, it's good backup. Those lights, of course, add more illumination on the trail at night when you're going exploring. So do those scene lights up front. Under the hood, a lot has been left stock, and there's a good reason for that. We could put a supercharger on this engine. It's the 4.0 from Toyota. However, we left it stock because you don't want to add too much mechanical complexity. Adding a supercharger, adding power, adds a big draw on your engine, and that could add to failure, raise the chances of failure on a trail, and you don't want to blow up an engine when you're 200 miles from civilization. So we left that stock. Over here though, you'll see the biggest change under the hood. It's an ARB dual compressor. That lets us air up these tires up and down when we go on and off trails. Airing down your tires does two things. Anything around 25 PSI just makes the ride a little bit cushier. When you go below that, you start adding grip. You start expanding the contact patch of the tire, and you can get better grip. That helps us get those tires pumped back up when we're ready to hit the highway. Down here we have the tires, wheels, and suspension and steps. We have Firestone Destination MT2s. We love these because they are mud terrains, but they got a little bit of siping, so they got a lot of extra grip. They do great in water, mud, snow, sand, you name it. Those are wrapped around some 17-inch Mayhem wheels. They're the 8303 model. We got them in bronze to pop off the red a little bit. Back behind there, we have a Total Chaos long travel suspension. Those are being held up by some Radflow shocks. This thing has an incredible ride, both on and off-road. Lastly, we have the steps from Weston. They add a little bit of rock protection and also a step up into the vehicle. And you need that because this thing is sitting 3 inches over the stock ride height. Okay, when I said we hadn't done anything else under the hood, I wasn't totally being honest. We also did add a snorkel. That goes into the air intake. A lot of folks wonder, is this for waterfording? Yes and no. Mostly it's to get the air intake up away from the tire, which is kicking up a lot of dust, and gets it up in the air. But then yes, it does help not suck any water when you go through some water crossings, but that's not the primary reason to have it, because you have to box up all your electronics, whatever. That's a whole nother discussion. As we move down the vehicle though, you'll see that we have a Prinsu rack. That's holding up some more KC Adventure lights. A big bank of lights up there. You're going to light up the wilderness at night like the sun. It's a sight to see. Also behind that is an Alu-Cab rooftop tent. That's the new model. It's really plush in there. And finally, rounding out the side, we have our 23.0 Bushman awning. That gives you a little bit of shade, like warm days like today when you're out on the trail, out at camp, getting ready, making dinner, and relaxing. Before we get all the way to the back, we're gonna stop right here. There's a lot going on. The first and foremost thing to take a look at is the Quiet Cat e-bike. We added this because this vehicle is designed to get up to those remote spots, spend a couple days at camp, and with this e-bike you can explore the single track beyond your campsite. That's all mounted on a Thule swing out, and behind that we have our CBI rear bumper. That also has a dual swing out. That has our full-size spare sitting up where you can get at it pretty quickly on the trail, and on top of that, kind of sandwiched in between the bike as you see it right now, is a set of max tracks. Those are important, of course, before you bust out the Superwinch, try to get yourself recovered with those max tracks. A big help out on the trail. I use mine all the time. The toolkit we have comes from Forest Tool Company. They're made in North Carolina. These were originally designed for firefighters, but they made their way into the back of Humvees for the US military as standard operating equipment. Now, of course, they're used with overlanding, and it's a great accessory. Not only are they really strong, they're also really versatile. So of course they needed to find a place in the ultimate build because they are an ultimate piece of overlanding kit. Up on top of the Alu-Cab, you'll notice that we have a flexible solar panel. That's the XPLOR model by Sunflare. That feeds into the red arc system we have in the back. We'll get to that in a second. So if the solar array up on the Alu-Cab doesn't generate enough power to recharge the e-bike, we have the ALP portable propane generator. That thing is quiet, smooth, generates a lot of power, and you don't have to haul around a bunch of gas or extra diesel. We love that thing. The front might be the most dynamic looking, but there's the most going on here in the back. Plenty of stuff to talk about, pretty exciting. Starting off in the bottom, we have some drawers. They are from Dobinson. Sitting on top of that, on the driver's side, we have a Dometic fridge. That's in a Clearview Easy Slide. That thing pulls out so you can get to your food, get to your beer really fast rather than have to lean in and dig for it. Next to that, onto the passenger side, we have some AluBox boxes. Those are from our friends at Equipped. And for water storage, we have the Lifesaver. What's really cool about this, not only it's a 5-gallon jerry can, but it also can filter the water for you. Again, this vehicle was built to go out into the backcountry and stay out for a while. Of course, you're going to inevitably run out of water, but if you're near a water source, this Lifesaver can keep you hydrated with clean, safe water. And right over there next to that, squeezed in next to the window from our friends at Red Arc, is the Manager 30 and the Red Vision. That controls that solar as it comes into the auxiliary battery and keeps that fridge nice and cool. And since we added power, we also had to add the Wagan Tech Pure Line 2000 inverter. And we chose the Wagan Tech because it's one of the finest on the market. Most inverters are rated at only 20 minutes of continuous wattage. After 20 minutes, the output will drop by as much as 75%. That takes a 400 watt inverter like this down to 100 watts. Simply not acceptable. This one can hold its full wattage for up to 24 hours, which is really important when you're in the backcountry. Flanking me on either side are both of those dual swing outs from CBI, and they have little tables that drop down so you can do your cooking right near your fridge. Okay, up here in the driver's seat, not a whole lot has changed. A lot of it is still stock. There is a new CB radio though from Midland. Get a hold of your buddies on the trail. And over here is a cool piece of kit from ARB. It's the Lynx system. It runs off an Android phone. You can control both the lights and also the air compressor. A fun feature of the Lynx system though, you can set it to a certain PSI. So you don't have to keep checking it. You tell it, I want to pump up my tires to 39 pounds. When it hits it, turns off the air compressor. You don't have to keep watching. That's a really fun feature. And for getting around navigation, we have the Garmin Overlander. It's a really great unit. I love it because it has all of America's dirt roads in its database. So not only can you explore and find new places to go, you can also get home really easily. Whenever I use this, I just plug in my address and it can get me out of the middle of nowhere without any question. But it has more features than just navigation. It also has iOverlander built in, so you can find campsites while you're traveling without any sort of pre-planning. So you can just hop in the truck and go. It's a really great tool. Of course, it wouldn't be an ultimate overland build without some beautiful camp equipment. We got that from Nomatica Outfitters. It's a pair of Covea camping chairs, a nice table that's made out of bamboo, and also some butane stoves. The last bit we can't show you is the Magnaflow Overlander exhaust. By the nature of the design, it's tucked up under the body. But believe me, it sounds great and opens up some power from that 4.0 V6. So that's it. That's our ultimate build. Of course, it was put together by Mule Expedition Outfitters. They're the ones who spent the time bolting this together. You can find them online at dasmule.com. That's DASMULE.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Nick Janes with Overland Expo.